Usually, areas filled with undead enemies in Souls games are encountered at the beginning of the game. However, this is the last area that we'll discover in the world of Dark Souls 2, outside of the DLC and LDR skip, and even though a lot of weak early game undeads are present, there is also a lot of the King Knights here and there guarding their master, as well as a bunch of enemies that are really challenging. Funnily enough, the weak undeads are much more of a threat here than the Knights, and for a simple reason. The weak undeads can ring bells that summon ghost angels with insane magical powers. Now, I don't dislike this area, I just find it a bit disappointing. The last two areas were pretty big in size, and even though Shrine of Havana was filled with mostly the same enemies, I expected the crypts to be much larger. You know, I said the Tomb of Sense could have been catacombs, like in Dark Souls 3. This area is kind of the catacomb area, but when you compare its size to Dark Souls 3 catacombs, or even Dark Souls 1's catacombs, and Tomb of Giants, it's really small. Now, at least it's bigger than Tomb of Sense, but still. They also use the same mechanic all over the level, and although the mechanic of the bell is an interesting one, it has its flaws. I still have to admit that adding royal guards throughout the level was a really good idea. Without them, all this place would have is a bunch of undeads ringing bells to attract angels, and it would suck, obviously. Now, I want to take some time speaking about the angels. Now, they are really strong enemies. Their health bar isn't that big, but their attacks hit super hard. Fighting multiple of them is not a good idea, and although their AI can sometimes be nice enough to not spawn their strongest attacks as soon as they spawn, fighting those guys is still very challenging. Fighting them once, one at a time per room is fine, but it can become a problem when the weak undead summon them again and again. This is especially true for the last corridor before the boss, where not only is the bell hidden from you, so you don't know where to go to stop it from ringing, you also have to kill 3 different weak undeads to make it stop ringing. My first time going through there, I reached the place. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kill the angels. There are 4 of them, that's a lot, but I can take them one by one, and then it's good. But no, as soon as you kill one of them, another one respawns and takes its place. You have to make the bell stop ringing. On my first time going through here, I didn't find the bells, so I went through that corridor to the boss room. You can do it by hiding on the side of the rooms behind the pillars, and the enemies will not annoy you too much. But if you really want to complete that area the Dark Souls 2 way, which is by killing every enemy you encounter, you need to make the bell not ring. You need to make it stop ringing. So, for the location, it's right below the stairs. Drop down, go around and below the stairs, and there's an undead ringing the bell. Now, the bonfire, once you've unlocked the shortcut, it's not very far from here, so you can rush and kill the undead before it rings the bell. The problem is, there are 3 undeads that will spawn in quick succession and try to ring the bell. Even knowing this, I wasn't able to stop the 3rd one to ring the bell because it spawns right next to it, and if you hit the undead with your sword, you will hit the bell yourself and it will ring the bell. And so 4 ghost angels will spawn anyway, whatever you do, which is dumb. Like, the fact that you can find this secret room with the bell and kill the undeads to stop the bell from ringing is a good idea. But if you make it so that it's almost impossible to not make the bell ring, it's stupid, like there's no point. You might as well just add a giant bell on the ceiling and it always ring and you cannot do anything to stop it from spawning the angels. It would basically be the same thing. Now, not quite exactly the same thing, because obviously once you kill all the weak undeads, you have to kill the ghost angels still, but then they won't respawn. But fighting 4 of those angels is still really annoying, especially if you have to do it every time you die to the boss, because this boss is not the easiest one in the game. Toying with players and making things harder for them is one thing, but there is no point to it if you also give them the possibility to just run through it all. And as I said, on my first time here, I just ran through the area without fighting any enemy and I was just fine. So it kinda makes the point of stopping the bell from ringing pointless, which is sad, because encouraging players from interacting with the game mechanics is good. And if they don't do that, well, it's not good. And why is it not good? The difference is that in the first case, where they're interested by the mechanics, they'll take their time to explore the level and to interact with the game, and they will like it. It will be fun for them. In the second case, where they don't interact with the mechanics, they'll just go through the game as fast as possible just to do the good things like the boss fights, and then they will throw the game away and never play it again. And that means the game is, well, it can be boring or pretty bad, which is not something you want for your game. For the atmosphere of the area, you are almost in complete darkness. Helps feeling like we're in Crypts. I also like the fact that if you try to light a fire or a torch, there are some guards that will attack you because they don't want you to have a fire and some lighting around here. It adds a nice touch of immersion, I think. I think it's good. And it also gives you a choice. You can choose to kill those guards and then light up the area. That is good. That is a good mechanic. I like it. Now, let's talk about the boss. Velstadt, the Royal Aegis, is, first of all, a big knight in armor, another one. Only this time he's wielding a bell hammer of some kind. They really love bells in this area, don't they? Anyway, this guy is Vendrick's best royal guard, best friend, best pal. He's been waiting in the crypts for eons just to protect his king. And now it's time we put him out of his misery. Gameplay wise, he swings his weapon around, much like other enemies or bosses in this game. The attacks are not very interesting. At first he does nothing special until he reaches his second phase. There are really not that much enemy in Dark Souls 2 that have second phases. This is one of them, and it's great when a boss has a second phase in Dark Souls 2 because it's so much more interesting, honestly. Outside of him, actually, you have like Fume Knight, Ludenzellen, Smelter Demon and Mirror Knight, and I guess the Burn Ivory King as well. It's a shame that Great Soul don't have a second phase. I guess like Freya doesn't need one, but the Rotten, the Lost Sinner and even the Old Iron King, they could definitely have used the second phase and it would have made their fight much better, I think. Anyway, once Velstadt buffs himself, his damage output is higher and he gets a few new moves. His scaling isn't as high as Rhyme, so his fight ends up being mid-tier in terms of difficulty, which is okay. Not every boss needs to be top tier, and at least he's largely above the average DS2 bosses. The music is really great for his fight, I like it a lot. Which isn't something I said for previous boss fights, honestly. Not that memorable, like Fume Knight music, Sorrelon's music are great, but for a lot of the bosses in the main game it's not that good, honestly. So here I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna highlight the fact that the music is good, because it doesn't happen very often. Once Velstadt is down, you can finally talk to the king. Overall, the Undead Crypts are fine, just like their boss. The mechanics are interesting, although it seems inevitable the bells are going to be ringed at some point, which can be frustrating at times, and also makes the mechanic kinda pointless, cause then, if they're going to be ringed anyway, what's the point of trying to make them not ring? You know, all you have to do is just run through the area as fast as you can. Could use a few tweaking here and there to make this mechanic better in terms of implementation, and then the area would become better naturally. I still like the mechanic, but I wish each bell could only be ringed once, with a few of them being super bells that can be ringed several times. I feel that would make things fairer while still keeping some form of challenge. Lastly, this place isn't that big, which is a complaint I have for a lot of areas in this game. I think it could be bigger, but at the same time, if they make the area bigger and then they start filling it with the same enemies over and over again, just like Shrine of Amana, I think there's no point. You know, it's better if it's short and good than long and super annoying. Now, I still hope if they do a remake one day, they try to work on this area to make it better, because this area has potential. It could be even better, honestly. For now, I just give it 7 out of 10. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you around. Bye.